Jeg lurer på om jeg skal gjøre det på norsk likevel. Og gi en kurs, matematikkkurs på norsk. Slik at dere på en måte opplever det elevene opplever på en skole. Jeg tror at dere ikke skjønner noen ting av det jeg sier, og det er greit. Men jeg har en god forklaring. Jeg skal snakke om videogames. Dette ord har dere skjønt. Og jeg tror det er nok. Okay, I'm going to continue in English, of course. It was just to illustrate how kids are feeling in a math class. Right? The feeling you had is exactly the feeling of some of the students, the majority of the students, at some point in their lives in school. So at the beginning, it's really funny. Oh, I don't understand anything. After a while, it's a little bit boring, right? And if I had continued, it would be just torture. And this is the very reason why I'm making games. Because the question of communication and language is really a barrier to understanding. So I want to break this barrier, and video games are perfect to do that. So since the majority of you're in game design, I'm gonna really talk a lot about game design, maybe about the marketing of games, if you're interested in. And please just interrupt me and tell me if you have questions on the way. It's okay? So regarding the question of design for games that are meant to teach something, or a game where kids should learn something, the key component I used to design the games, I'm going to show you the games, no language. That's the first constraint I put on designing the games. There are games of mathematics. So what I try to do is to create a digital manipulative. That means an object, a mathematical object, digital. It's a new representation so that kids can really manipulate it. And I put that at the center of the game. So all the games we make start with creating a digital mathematical object. That's the very, very first thing we do. What is a mathematical object? So I'm in mathematics, but you can apply that to all subjects, right? I use mathematics because I can show you things. I've experimented with prototypes with learning to read, and I think it's working too, but it's just math, so we take that just as an example, right? So in the process of creating these digital manipulatives, we need to know very well the subject we're gonna teach. And the first thing we do is we take one subject, could be algebra or geometry or functions or statistics, and we deconstruct it. What does it mean to deconstruct a subject? So usually I have a basic knowledge of math, maybe a little bit more advanced because I'm an engineer. And I try to think, what are the big ideas in one field of mathematics? It could be numbers, functions, as I said. And I don't pay attention to the curriculum. I don't pay attention to the books that are written about it. I'm just relying on my own knowledge, on my own ideas, my own representation of mathematics. And each of you have your own representation. You have your own knowledge. It's very subjective. There is no one mathematics, right? It's very subjective. So I take what I have and I try to find the big idea. This means I take all the knowledge and I try to deconstruct it in small pieces and try to rebuild it. That's the process I'm doing with my team. And we try to get the big ideas in math And then we try to find an object that we could manipulate. And usually, we can do that on paper. So all the games we have made are based on a paper prototype. How much time does it take to do that? Depends. The game about algebra, I think I developed the paper version in 2 days. It's not a lot of time. That means I think the first iteration of the game, it took me maybe 6 hours. 6 hours from the idea to a test with kids. It's very, very short. So find a subject, deconstruct it, and then rebuild it. And in the meantime, you find a manipulative, an object you're going to create. I do that on paper. And then when we have that, I try to find what's the game around it. The beauty is that mathematics, it's usually a set of rules that are very, very consistent. So usually I say that I'm a fraud. I'm not a real game designer. I'm just taking mathematics, right? I take the rules and I show the game of math through a video game. So the major work is on design. Designing the user experience, the controls, the camera, for these very manipulatives. Do you follow me? Yeah, good. So that's the first thing. So once you have that, you can create a gameplay because you have discovered that there is usually a game in math with all these rules. And then you have to work on the design. So this is Dragonbox Elements. It's a game about geometry. As a kind of creative director, I'm very demanding. Not only for the design, but also the objectives, the ambitions we have for games. So we made a major mistake that I want to share with you because it's a very usual mistake, I think. I have a small studio. Now we are 12 people. And usually you have to make a prototype. To prototype something should be maybe 2-3 people maximum. And because we have all the time problems of money, we think we should go faster. We have to deliver something very quickly. At least that's what my partner, the production guy, is saying to me. I'm not like that. I say, wait a minute. We can take all the time we want because once we have solved the problem, then it's done. It will have a huge value. And at this time, we had some, some challenges in the team. It happens all the time. It's a company. It's human beings. And I decided to ask my production guy to try to create this game about geometry. And I gave him a very ambitious goal. I say, I don't want you to teach how to draw stuff with circles, perpendicular, and so on. I say, it's not enough for me. The big goal, it's proof. Because to me, math, it's about proof. It's the most important stuff you can learn, actually. So we started doing this game, or they started in Paris. We have 2 offices, one in Oslo, where I'm based, and the other in Paris. So we're a small company with 2 sites. It's completely crazy. So it's a lot of problems of communication. So the team in Paris, they started doing this game. And I saw what we got. And we got some problems of implementation. So in geometry, you can draw circles. And the gameplay they had found, it was to draw circles and perpendicular lines and all the geometric figures you want to reach some points in the plane, right? And if you don't have accuracy in your programming, you can access some points through figures, but it's not perfect. You get this problem? Then I saw that, so I saw, yeah, it's working with certain puzzles, levels, but after a while, it's a beautiful game, huh? But after a while, it doesn't work. And then I was thinking, it's not going to be math. It's going to be random stuff. You're gonna reach some points, but it's just chance. And then I was thinking, it's exactly the contrary of what I want to teach. What I want to teach is theorems, propositions, and proof. So what do? I was based in Oslo, and my team in Paris, and I was thinking, we have to release a game, and I'm not satisfied with the game. I think it can be a classical problem in game design and for a video game production company. And we had cash for 4 months or something like that, I don't remember. And I say to my team, I don't want to release this game. It's not good enough. And they had worked a lot to be able to release the game, right? And I said, no, it doesn't work, doesn't fly. I won't be able to market this game. I don't believe in the accuracy, in the puzzles. So I want to have proof. There are many ways to do a game about proof. They had found a kind of a user interface, which was very costly to implement. And we had not much time. So I started spending all my nights and days trying to find a way to design a user experience and a user interface that would work, that would be easy to implement. And they hated me, I can tell you, because we were going into a prototyping phase again. And with that kind of games, it's really horrible. You prototype, and you change until you have something that really works. So I started working really a lot, only with paper, trying to find out a way to get the right interaction, the right manipulative. So I told you, we start with manipulative. That's true. But when you change that kind of stuff, you have to start again. So after many nights, I got something that flies. I tested it on paper with some kids, and I thought, wow, it seems like it's a game. Actually, it's not like that. When I find something on paper, before testing, I'm very lucky, I guess. I can see if it's gonna work. I have the intuition, wow, these rules are okay. It seems like it's gonna fly. And so I went to a kid, he was 10 years old or something like that, testing the game on paper. So I was doing everything, all the sounds, all the interactions, everything, right? I was simulating the game. And then he was into it, and he was, oh yeah, and I do that. And I saw he could learn, because it's about learning the logic of proof. And then I went back to the office the day after, and I said, I got it! It's working. It was a big relief for me, but for the team it was not a relief, because we had to start working and changing the code they had made, and because we are always actually making a prototype and not a product, the code is horrible. But we got this one, so I can show some of it, and then so it's a game about proof. And I put a lot of not only ambitions but constraints about the game we want to make. So this one is about more than that, actually. I think I have a problem here. It's not a code. It's I don't know. It's something else. If it's okay, I comment on the development process and some anecdotes, because I think there are a lot of things that I think I would love to know before I go into this industry. I have a fantastic art director, and it's really a teamwork. It's not only me finding gameplay. After that, you have to find the design of everything. And so we have an art director. He loves math. And he didn't see the game. I mean, it takes 1 year to create a game in our company. And usually, the majority of the time, he comes to me and he says, Jean-Baptiste, I don't see the game. I say, all the year long, almost 10 months out of 12, he said, I don't see the game, I don't see the game, I don't see the game. And it's going to sound strange, but for this game, he said, oh, Jean-Baptiste, I see the game. There is a tower. I said, tower? It's a game about geometry. No, you don't understand. I see the tower, and we will get the levels, and we get into it, and then we get into the puzzles, and so on. He's thinking completely orthogonally to me. It's completely understandable. But I have to accept that, because he's the guy in charge of making the manipulatives, the mathematical objects, beautiful and engaging for kids. But it's very surprising how he thinks. I cannot understand how he thinks, actually. And I guess he cannot understand how I think. And we are not only the both of us, because we have the art director, I'm the kind of educator, and we have a programmer or chief programmer, and we have people in charge more of gamification and so on. And so all of us, we have to understand each other to some extent and come to a common project and common product. It's extremely difficult. And we have a very good relationship, but it feels like sometimes it's really, really hard. And I think the success for that kind of games, that are educational games, you have to gather a team of experts that really, they have to share the same desire to change the world, basically, and to do really good products. Because it's a very, very demanding process. And the teamwork is really, really demanding. So basically, I skipped the video. There is a story. You have a dragon coming on the tower, on the island, and he basically is destroying everything. And you have to raise an army to fight him. Okay? So like that, it sounds like it's a story. We could find any story, but it's not like that. The art director has to see the story, and the character is going to put to represent the mathematical objects. You see, it's so linked that you cannot say, I have this story, and then the art director is going to find a representation of the mathematical objects. It's not like that. So we have to create the story at the same time as we create the characters and the mathematical objects. So everything is based on discovery, pattern recognition, because that's my belief that kids learn like that, exploration. So here you have this hand, that's tutorials 1, 2, 3, and I guess when you see 1, 2, 3, if you don't know what the triangle is, you still see that there are 3 something, right? 3 corners, 3 sides. And so you can go through it. No, we've written triangle because some parents and teachers, they couldn't see it was math. And this character here is actually a symbol for a triangle. So, I'm very obsessed removing language because I think it's a barrier. I want to have something very intuitive for kids. And so this guy is a triangle. And the goal here, it's more than proof, actually. Because in the proof, we say, show that the triangle ABC is isosceles or equilateral. Here in our game, because of the game design or the gameplay, you not only have to prove that a figure has some characteristics, you have to find them. So here basically it says, this guy, he's raising an army, he says, find 2 of these guys on this figure. Okay? So you've learned that if you draw something with 3 sides, you get a triangle. So he's happy. We had not enough money to make it more engaging, unfortunately, but it's just enough for kids. Okay? If I had more money, I should make a new iteration and make it much more lively for kids, right? Much more engaging. So it starts very, very, very basically. So give me 3 of these guys. Here it was a very complex decision, because sometimes we're going to use later the properties of shapes that are already in the game. And the player had to understand, this guy is already there, he's sleeping, you don't need to create it again. It was a nightmare to find something that works. So we tried many solutions, not solutions apparently. We tried many things, and we found one kind of solution that works. Could be another way to do it, but it's just working. So basically, we want to find this guy. So we have, right, it's pattern recognition. So we have a segment here. So some people have not understood yet what a triangle is. They start going on, on this segment. Doesn't give anything, right? So, no, it doesn't give anything. So on this one, oh yeah, okay. So by this level number 2, you could think that people have understood you're after triangles, right? It's not the case. It's not the case, far from the case. And as a teacher, it's very funny, because as a teacher, I was really very often, I wanted really to listen to the kids. And when you take pedagogy, they tell you kids are different. They learn differently, different pace. So I knew that. After designing games, I can tell you I didn't know anything. Because when you playtest, you see the range of differences in the learning, not styles, but learning ways. And it's not only visual and auditive. This, I don't know even if I believe in that. It's just that people perceive and get information in completely different ways. And not only that, people have different ways to explore. Some kids and some adults, they don't explore at all. So this kind of games doesn't work with people who are afraid. The younger you are, usually the best it is. And the older you are, the worse it is. So I have to find this guy. So still on this level, some people don't understand, and they start doing that. And it doesn't work. They do many things. And it's very brutal. That's the brutal reality. You can do a design that seems it should work. It's not going to work 100%. And it's really, it's not going to work 100% after 3 levels. It might work over many, many, many more levels. Some people, they see and understand patterns, but it takes a lot of time. So maybe I'm going to get out of it a little bit. Something that is extremely important to us is the scaffolding of the levels. It cannot be any jump in the learning. All the time you have to introduce just one thing at a time. And this is a rule that each time we escape this rule, we fail, I can tell you. So never do that. 2 things at the same time, it's not going to work. So we introduce quadrilateral and other stuff. So far it's just about the recognizing these patterns of shapes. But after a while, you want to really to get into proof. So here it goes. This tutorial doesn't work with everyone. Basically, you had these small guys, right? It has vanished now. That's scalene triangle. That means triangle without any properties, special properties. And what we say in the tutorial here is you wake up this guy, you click on the 2 sides, and we think that you're going to infer, right, that it's the same color, but people don't know it yet. They're going to do something, they don't really know what's going on. But actually, we know what's going on. The color is the size of the segment. Same color means same size, okay? So many people here, they don't understand why, because you have 3 actions. In this tutorial, you have to wake up the guy, and then click and click. It's 3 actions. This is the very limit in a tutorial, I can tell you. By experience, you cannot go on 4 things to remember. It doesn't work, it doesn't fly. And 3, it's really the limit. The best is 1 thing. Click on 1 thing. 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, everybody's gone. So I wake up the guy, and here we don't explain anything. You see this guy, he has 2 horns. 2 horns meaning 2 sides. Clever. Many people never understand that. And it's really, It takes many levels to understand that for some kids and some people. Okay, and here maybe you can realize that, we are starting using the properties of the shapes and the figures. That means that, wow, we are going toward proof. So find a normal triangle, right? This is this one, no problem. Different colors. So here, I would think as a designer, well, people are going to understand, right? The pattern here, same colors, not same color, different characters. Doesn't work like that. Some kids don't get it, some adults don't get it either. I wake up this guy. When I say they don't get it on the first level, right? They need many more experiences to understand the pattern. And learning is about patterns. To me, it's very normative. Here, we design this level, and I said, we have to show different length and different colors. People are going to infer that it's like that. No, everything, you cannot have expectations as a designer. You cannot. You do things, you think it's going to work, and actually it's going to work 60% of the time. Even to me, as a designer, and that's the difficulty, I can say, well, it's obvious. A color is a size. No. Many kids don't get it. So I get this guy, this guy. This is a normal triangle, right? And I transform it to isosceles, the same here. So I'm not going to play the full game. I just leap forward, right? You get how it's working, or it's okay that I comment what we've done, or you tell me if it's boring, or it's okay? It's very seldom that I do that, actually. So basically, we have learned earlier that you can select an angle and move it. So actually, it's a theorem in mathematics. That's the opposite angles. But here, it's very easy. So opposite. This is an equilateral triangle. So I've leapt forward. So here you can decide the triangle is equilateral by the sides or by the angles. So the 3 angles are the same, right? So you can say this is an equilateral triangle. So I take this triangle, it's becoming a normal triangle, and then I select the 3 angles that have the same color. It's an equilateral triangle. I need to find another one. Boo, boo, boo. Where is it? Maybe here. So, as I said, you have to find which triangle is equilateral, and then you have to prove it's an equilateral triangle. Okay. Success. This was tested on paper, right? I was drawing the triangles, I was doing everything. And the kid was with me, no problem. Okay, so I go a little bit further. The reason why I go further is just to show you that once you have a very good game mechanic, you can go very far in the learning. So here basically, this guy represents, you see it's an quadrilateral. He has a pair of wings, right? Wings represent parallel lines. So if you find a quadrilateral with wings, I'm going to show you the wings very quickly, then you have a trapezoid. It's called like that, I think. We have introduced by then circles, and the property of the circle that all radius have the same size. So we had to find a control to get this on the other radius. So the most obvious thing was to take it and just turn it around, and it will change the color of the radius. But you had to select the circle before. Okay? And here it was very hard because you have to select the circle, then take this guy and move it. It's, again, 2-3 things to remember, very hard. So I select the circle. Maybe you see I deselect the circle. You see a difference maybe. There is a handle here to show where you could take the radius. All these questions, it seems very simple here, but it was really many days to find a solution so that people could understand what they had to do. So with that kind of games, we have a big challenge with the controls. And there are many, many things to remember for the player, right? So it's very challenging. So I selected it, and then I can turn it. And you see the colors of the radius have changed. I can select this guy. I can say this is an isosceles triangle. Right, you see it. And you see a kind of a glow around it. Is to get kids to remember, or players to remember, this guy has 2 horns, 2 equal sides, but that means also he has 2 equal angles. But which angle? This one or this one? So we had to do something. So we put a tail that you see here showing the symmetry. So if I double click on it, it's gonna make appear the angle. Right. Got that? Okay, good. There is another theorem that says the transversal line here, right, on these lines here, if they had the same angle here and here, they would be parallel lines. So then I need to use the opposite angle theorem. So I'm going to do that straight away. So I take the angle here, move it, right? And again, we have to find a control so that kids, they have to, because I want it to be really mathematics, so you have to select the transversal line, click on it, and then move this guy over there. So we decided to move it so to see that they are equal. These are choices, maybe not the best, I'm not sure actually. It seems to work, but so I select this line. For each control, actually, we code many things. Developers, they get crazy because you know, each time you have a jump, a visual jump, people don't understand. So that means that each time we code a control, we have to code the animation with it so that there is no jump. So that means you cannot do things halfway. You have to code everything. You have really to develop a strategy, algorithm to solve this, like with proof. And that's the beauty. That's what I wanted for kids. I wanted, because once, you know, there is a reason why we teach geometry proof to kids. It's because it's super powerful. Later on, when you're gonna write an article, you know, write literature, you need to think like geometry. So this is a very good puzzle and game to train your brain to structure an argument. That's the reason why we spend time on that. Unfortunately, I can tell you that majority of people, they don't see it. People think, well, geometry proof, well, it's not worth anything. We don't care. And some people, wow, what a great game. It's fantastic. We need that. There is a lot of learning, real learning, important learning there. So I take the transversal. You see the angles have been highlighted. And then I can move it. And you see the 2 wings appearing. And we were thinking, at the beginning they were appearing here, there, and I said, no, they have to appear where the angles are, right? So that people make the connection between them. Right, so that's my parallels. I take this guy, which is a quadrilateral, right? You see it? And he has a pair of wings, of course, so I select them, choop, choop, and he gets 2 wings. But let me replay this one, just to show you how many steps you have in this. First, you have to find this, 1. Then you have to create this one, 2. Then you have to say this is an isosceles triangle, so it's the same angles, 3. Then you have the transversal on 2 angles, 4. Move it. And then you create this one, Option 5. It's a 5-step proof. It's really, really hard. You need really to master all the properties and theorems in math to do this. And you have to look forward. You have to think of a strategy. How can I get this guy? So it's not simple problem solving. This is real geometry proof. Very hard. And once you get that, once you get kids to solve 200 puzzles like that, I can tell you something is happening to their brain. It's impossible it's not happening something. They're getting the structure. I'm looking for that. I need to prove that. Not 1 step, 5 steps on this one. I'll bring you to the last puzzle in this game. I showed that to a friend, a former colleague, mathematics PhD. And he was looking at it and he said, you know, the beauty with what you did, Jean-Baptiste, is that in proof, in school, we never can design such a puzzle. So we have expanded the geometry proof game to become more Sudoku, with many, many, many more information for the kids, much more complicated problems. I do that for my kids. I'm a math teacher. It's only math. That's the way I look at math. Math is like that for me. So there is not a question of, can you transfer to something else? This is math. So I don't even ask, can you transfer? It will be easy to transfer because it's so. I don't know. I don't know how to answer your question because I understand it, but to me it's irrelevant. Because what I want for my kids is to get the structure of solving these puzzles. That's the big idea in geometry proof. That's the big idea in math. So you use theorems to prove new things all the time. You are building your argumentation. Learning is not just about manipulating stuff. Learning in a very constructivist way, with Vygotsky in the background, without name-dropping stuff. Once you have an experience, whatever the experience, you need to take some distance and talk about what you have learned with other people. And this social process of talking and putting words on what you've done and being conscious of what you've done, that's where the real learning is happening. If you were playing, okay, I'm going to try to simulate that now. As a kid, let's say I know this game, and I'm going to play it. So I play it, I see the stuff, right? If I'm a teacher or a parent or a peer, I would say, what are you going to do now? What's the game of this game? What's the goal of this game? So the kid would say, well, I need to find this guy. I say, where this guy? Who's that? Well, it's the guy. You see, he has a helmet. He has 2 horns. He's a special guy. Actually, you need to get. It's kind of a. He has no words. Maybe young kids playing this. They don't have the words. So he will say, where is something with 4 something, and then you can say, where is a square? It will have 4 sides, the same length, and 4 perpendicular or 90 degrees angle. Okay, so just to answer your question, you have to talk about what you're doing to get the consciousness of what you've learned, and this is essential. I do that with my kids, I do that with my students, so it's important. But going back to the paper and so on, it's not important. The importance is to talk about what you've learned, and that's where the transfer is happening. So just here, so it's we say 5 steps proof. This is I don't know, 50. It's kids when they go on this level. That's the last level. They're gonna kill the dragon. It's just I know it's the last level. I need to solve it. And
please don't spoil it.
Sorry, then I don't do it. Okay. I'm going to show you something else just in the game, because We have many questions. I'm very open with you with the questions we have, right? So that you can learn from the mistakes we have. It's a very long game, right? And you want to motivate the kids to really go to the end. It's not only a long game, it's a very demanding game. You are basically, if you have never done any proof, I mean, you have 200 puzzles getting more and more difficult, doing really, really difficult proof, and learning the concepts, even with, not with the words, but the concepts are there. You have to remember all these concepts. So it's very demanding. So we were thinking, maybe we should find something so that kids need to relax a little bit. So we introduced, I'm just going to solve this one very quickly. What do I need this one? Okay, this guy is. So I'm doing it very quickly because I cannot access the little game if I don't do that. Here we go. I won. And here it was, so that you have the laser. There we go. And here's the mini game. I'm showing it to you to tell you something about it, right? So here I have the stuff. I have this, so it's a shooting game, right? Completely stupid game, all right? So I just, no. When I saw this game, because I was doing something else, like trying to sell the game, or pre-sell the game, they did this game in Paris, and I saw it and I said, I don't want this game. What kind of game is that? So you're shooting these spiders, and it was big discussions between the art director and the producer or the production guy. My art director, I'm going to show you that. He had, because I told you, I see the game, but we never implemented the game he saw. So he introduced all these rules. So we have cards, right, with all the rules so that you can remember everything. This is the quadrilaterals. You have all the properties and theorems here. Yeah, here is the list of all the guys. So my art director, he saw the game and said, wow, I see a tower, and I see a dragon, and I see all these guys that we have to use. We have to raise the army. We're going to give them points. And each time, or any time, you can go to the top of the tower, and you can try to kill the dragon. So I was thinking, when you collect this army of small triangulum, so you're going to try, but they are worth only 3 points. You see the mechanism? And when you get this really square, it's 800 points. So you can go all the time, go to the dragon and try to kill the dragon just for fun, and it doesn't work. And my art director is a children's book, illustrator. He has 25 years of experience with kids. So when he's saying that, usually I trust him. I said, well, we should do that. And then my production guy said, no, we shouldn't do it. It's too boring for kids to go to the top of the tower, go to the dragon. And we had many discussions. Many discussions between my art director and the production guy. They were saying, we should go to the top of the tower. No, we shouldn't. It's boring. No, then implement it so that we can. No, we don't have time to implement it and test it. So we had this discussion. So my art director is very frustrated, and we had no time to use these numbers. So actually, when you kill the dragon, we don't use these powers. So we are missing something, right? So it's a story that, well, we might do it later, but it's not finished. And we find a kind of a solution with this small mini game where you kill, to get the. And I was, but I don't know if it would have worked actually if we were using these guys and go to the top of the tower whenever you want. So you have to find the right balance, right, in what you can do. But limited resources, not a lot of time, and we did our best, basically. But it's not perfect. We had to ship the game. But I was not satisfied with this mini game. And when we play tested it, kids loved it. And you know what it means? It means that you never know. You have just to play test things. Even if I don't like it, it's working, so it's good. Okay, so that was the game about geometry. Before we started with this geometry game, all of us, we bought one book called Euclid's Elements, of course, Euclid's Elements. And we bought, I recommend this book to anyone. It's a book written by Byrne, B-Y-R-E-N-E. It was in the 18th century, 19th century, it was 1885 or something like that. One guy is an engineer, in the 19th century. They were doing everything. And decided, well, Euclid's Elements it's a good game, and a good book, but I would love, because I see that students, they struggle to understand. It's so heavy with all this proof, and we don't see anything. So I'm going to make a new version of this book, which will be heavily illustrated with colors. The length would be colors of, and that inspired us. And this book is beautiful. I don't think I would read Euclid's Elements, the normal version, but this version, not only it's beautiful, but you can really appreciate Euclid's Elements. It's like reading a book, like reading a novel. You just they want to prove that, and it's so visual that it feels so easy. It's just like, oh, I see. Oh, interesting. Oh, they were very creative. And in Euclid's Elements, it was a digression. Of course, you have construction and proof. You know why we have proof in geometry? It's because if you build stuff, because of the approximation you're doing in your drawings, you never know if you are actually doing the right stuff. And for people who want really to draw something, it's a problem. So you had to prove that it was the correct construction, because at bigger scale could be big problems in architecture and so on. And that's the reason. And something very interesting is that I think nobody could solve the Euclid's Elements problems. Very, very few people. It's a gathering of very complex problems, and I guess he found, or some people found in Greece, the solution to a problem, but the problem was not there. It's just, oh, look at that, it's like that. So actually, you can never give a problem like that. And in school, what do? We give these problems. But they were fake. It's impossible to solve them. So we tried to build a game with both construction and proof. So we had to do both. And it's super demanding. So we stopped. We started with construction, and I had proof, and I said, we're going to start with a construction game and a proof game, and they're going to merge. It will be 2 towers. And my art director said, oh, I see it, 2 towers, 1 dragon, and they will merge. We never reached this point. Okay, that's a very good question. So I don't pay attention to the curriculum, right? And even if I'm a teacher, I don't pay attention to myself as a teacher. It's for my kids. So I try to really think differently. I say to myself, I want the kids to learn as fast as possible math because it's empowering them. So I take a very conscious choice against the establishment as per today to say, if I win, that means if I can do this product, it will be adopted at some point. And teachers, they need that kind of tools. And if it's a more powerful tool that they need, well, it shouldn't be a problem. But we're gonna design tools for educators so they can customize the quest, customize the equations, the problems in geometry, and so on. Not only educators, teachers, but also homeschoolers. So I'm thinking of them, and I need that too. But at the beginning, it's really listening to the kids and getting them excitement and as much as possible learning. So I don't want to restrain myself. And I do know that if you are paying attention to the curriculum and the books and so on, I have really big doubts that you will be able to innovate and change the way we teach and learn. Really big doubts. And I experience that because now these days I'm working also on a prototype for word problems based on the Singapore method. And so I've been through all the books they have in Singapore, and I see how it's contaminating me, which is it's not bad. I mean, they are really beautiful books. They're perfect. But the problem, if you look more at them, you think, well, that's the only solution. And that's the reason why I have to take some distance and think, okay, yeah, I don't know. But it doesn't mean I'm a teacher. But I take the conscious choice that in the future you will want to teach more rapidly stuff, and it's possible. So that's the bet I'm making, and I think it's working. I think kids like it, and yeah. I had a publishing company for children's book earlier, and I knew marketing was the big thing. In all business, if you're not a businessman, the first thing you have to think of is marketing. And if you are dealing with a product, you tend to think the product will sell itself. So when I designed this product, I was thinking, because I play tested it with kids and they were really engaged and I was seeing the value of it and so on, so I was thinking it's going to sell by itself. The most usual mistake, I guess. But I had this previous experience and I failed almost. So failing is good. So I was thinking, well, I need a marketing guy. So I went to one of the big marketing guys in Norway. He was in charge of Opera software, this browser, a lot of experience. And I told him, well, it's going to sell by itself, but I know we need marketing, so please come to us. And we started with PR, because this guy only believes in PR, public relation. We went to, it's another story, very crazy. So we went, a journalist from the main newspaper, and we had this big article, and a lot of sales the first day. And we were there, it was, wow, I told you it would sell, it's fantastic. And the day after it was like that, and then like that, and then it was stable, so it's okay. But what we discovered is that actually the majority of people who buy our games are parents with kids between 5 and 10. That's the Head Start discovery market. And basically, that's not the market we wanted to have. That's not the market that's not the kids I wanted to get, as a designer. So we bumped into that, and it was there. And it happens that these guys, they're very happy with this, because that's, how do you call that, Gonzalo? It's like we've made a dog that talks. I love this expression, actually, Gonzalo. It's like we created a game that is a dog talking, a talking dog. Not Ben, because there is an app about that, I think. But and people talk about it. It's viral. It's not a huge virality, but it's viral. It's enough so that people talk about it. So regarding marketing, we got a market we don't want, and it's viral, not a lot of virality, but viral, and people talk about it. And from time to time, we have one journalist or one key influencer. He bumped into our product, it has been recommended by someone, and he said, oh! And he writes a fantastic article about it, and then boom! And then toom, 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 and then it's stable, but a bit higher. Well, in Latin America, you mean? We have 0 downloads, but we have a lot of users. This is very strange. So, and it's a pity. I mean, it's really a pity. I mean, we can discuss many things, but maybe something I told some students here. It takes 1 year to create a game. It's usually 10 hours a day. Before the release of a game, it's usually 20 hours a day. I'm not kidding you. Usually, I'm extremely tired at the end of when it's just released. Usually, I cry every night. Each time I get, I'm gonna cry now. Each time I get a tweet or a good review, I'm crying. Because all the efforts I'm putting in these games, it's so much involvement and investment, and so that's the beauty with that kind of games. That really, it's hard work, but once you get the reviews and you see the kids like today, now I'm used to it, but when you get 30 kids and they're playing this, it was algebra in this case, and you say, no, we have to take the tablets, and they say, no! Because it's a tablet, it's not only that, it's about the game. And I saw kids were still playing the game, and we say, stop, no, we have to take that, we have to leave. And they say, no, and you have this beautiful picture, you can put that on Twitter or something. It was one game, it's the best game ever, or something like that. It's completely crazy. Not all kids are like that, but it's a magical moment when you put so much investment and you get this reward that kids are really learning and they enjoy it so much. And it's changing completely the process and in the classroom. You see, it's completely changing. And today it was really funny because it was two maestras, and so they were sitting and playing the game. They don't have any clue what an equation is. And it was this little girl, very charming, coming to them and saying, "Why you have to do that now, and you have to do that now." So basically, they were taught how to solve equations in the game by a little girl, 10 years old. Empowerment, right? Why am I saying that? I don't remember. But it's so marketing-wise, it's difficult. PR, so public relation, is important. It's not often that actually they are very arrogant, usually journalists, and they don't have time. I don't want to. So it's hard work. So usually I try not to do anything. I just let it happen, and I'm thinking, maybe I'm naive, that I'm going to make many games, or maybe somebody is going to steal all my ideas, and I will die poor and unknown. Or I can create many games, and I can get a brand, right? Get some recognition, and it will be okay. So basically, economically speaking, we have sold maybe 500,000, which is pretty decent for a game, any game, I guess. And it's stable, with some choop from time to time. We have big hopes with the game we're making about arithmetic, because it's targeting a knowledge that our parents, that our customers want in principles. But it's not a talking dog, as Gonzalo says. Also, for me, it's very powerful games that can really change dramatically the way we teach math. But not only that, really get many kids to feel confident in math. So it's a very important game to me. And of course, it helps working 10 hours a day, 20 hours, yeah.